All right, today we're going to talk about one of the strangest, truly baffling military stories in all of history. It's a story that's got everything: massive ambition, unshakable faith, and this mysterious event that literally changed the map. We're talking about the Year of the Elephant, and it all kicks off with a question that honestly sounds like something out of a movie.
So, how on earth does an army of 60,000 soldiers, led by the most powerful king in the region, get mysteriously defeated by a flock of birds? Yeah, you heard me right. A massive, armed-to-the-teeth force with war elephants and everything just taken out by birds? It sounds absolutely wild, right? But believe it or not, this single event is a huge deal, a cornerstone of history for literally billions of people. So, let's dig in and figure out what was really going on. Okay, so to really get this story, you got to understand the why behind it all. And for that, we need to meet the main guy, our antagonist, a man named Abraha. And his whole story? It doesn't start with a big war. Nope. It starts with good old-fashioned jealousy. And it's all focused on this one simple cube-shaped building in Mecca called the Kaaba. And this really lays it all out, doesn't it? You've got Abraha, this super powerful ruler down in Yemen, and he's looking north towards Mecca. He sees all these pilgrims from all over Arabia making their way to the Kaaba. For them, it was the spiritual center of their world. So Abraha thinks, hey, I can top that. He builds this insane, opulent church. We're talking loaded with jewels, just dripping with wealth. The whole point was to get those pilgrims and, their money to come to his city instead. But it was a total bust, a complete failure. Nobody came. People just kept going to that simple, plain little Kaaba. So imagine that. All that work, all that money, and for what? Nothing. Abraha's grand project was a flop, and he was furious. His frustration just boiled over. His thinking was pretty simple and pretty brutal. If they won't come to my church, well, then I'll just get rid of theirs. And that was it. The decision was made. He was going to march his army to Mecca and destroy the Kaaba completely. But who is this guy, right? Who's so bold that they declare war on a holy site? Well, what's so fascinating about Abraha is that he wasn't born into royalty. Not even close. He wasn't a prince or a king. His backstory, his rise to power is, well, it's incredible and incredibly ruthless. Get this. His journey starts as a slave for a Roman businessman, but his master saw something in him, and they put him in charge of a massive army to go conquer Yemen. And he didn't just win. He was so good at it that he basically turned around and told his old bosses, thanks, but I'm in charge now. He declared independence. They even sent another army to put him back in his place. And you know what he did? He crushed them too and made their soldiers join his army. So through pure grit, cunning, and brute force, this former slave becomes the most powerful, undisputed king in all of Arabia. So now he's got absolute power, but he's also got this seriously bruised ego because of his failed church. So he sets his plan into motion. He starts gathering his forces for what he thinks is going to be a walk in the park, a simple show of force against this little merchant city, Mecca, that had no army to speak of. And look at this number, 60,000 soldiers. You have to understand, for that time and place, this was a colossal army, just massive. And they're marching on a city that's basically defenseless. And leading the whole parade, his prize war elephant, a literal symbol of his power. Victory didn't just seem likely. It felt absolutely guaranteed. Okay, so as this giant army gets close to Mecca, they do what armies do. They start taking stuff. And they happen to steal a bunch of camels that belonged to the leader of Mecca, a man named Abdul-Muttalib. So Abdul-Muttalib comes out to negotiate with Abraha. But here's the thing. He wasn't there to beg for his city to be spared. He was there for something else entirely. And what happens next is one of the most legendary conversations in history. Abraha's probably a little confused, maybe even amused. He thinks this guy is worried about his camels while his city is about to be flattened. But Abdul-Muttalib's response is just bone-chillingly confident. He says, I am the owner of the camels. The house, and by the house he means the Kaaba, has its own lord who will protect it. And with that, he just takes his camels and walks away, leaving Abraha to deal with a power he completely underestimated. So the next day arrives. Abraha gives the command, advance. His huge war elephant is right there at the front, ready to smash through the Kaaba. And then? Well, then the impossible happens. And this is where things get really, really strange. Step 1, the main elephant, the one leading the charge, just stops.
It plants its feet and refuses to take another step toward the Kaaba. They beat it, they push it, nothing works. Then, step 2, the sky just fills with this swarm of birds. Birds nobody had ever seen before or since. And each one of these birds is carrying a tiny stone. Step 3, they start dropping the stones, but it's not random. The stories say each stone hit one specific soldier. And finally, step 4, wherever these stones hit, the soldiers' bodies just disintegrated. The entire army just collapses into absolute chaos and is completely destroyed.
Now, we should be fair here. Some modern historians look at this and suggest a more scientific explanation. They think the stones from the sky might be a powerful metaphor for something like a sudden, horrific viral outbreak, maybe an extreme form of smallpox. You can imagine how a disease like that, ripping through a crowded army camp, could cause sores and decay that would look like the body was disintegrating. It could absolutely wipe out an army from the inside out. So whether you see it as a miracle or a freak epidemic, the end result was exactly the same. Abraha's supposedly unbeatable army was gone, wiped out. He himself, according to the stories, died while trying to retreat. And the fallout from this one event, man, it was going to change everything in Arabia. And this is the real game changer. Suddenly, the tribe in charge of the Kaaba, the Quraysh of Mecca, are seen as being under divine protection. I mean, their prestige just skyrockets across the entire region. Mecca goes from being this important spiritual town to being the spiritual and cultural center. Pilgrimage to the Kaaba explodes. Money starts pouring into the city. And the Quraysh, they become the new top dogs, the undisputed leaders of Arabia.
And that brings us to the final, most important piece of the puzzle. In that very same year, the year of this incredible event, the year of the elephant, a child was born. He was born right there in Mecca, into that newly powerful Quraysh tribe. A child who would grow up to change the world forever. And his name was Muhammad.